So Amayo and Jordan McLean from Antibalas, thanks very much for sitting down and speaking with PBS Quick Hits. Good to have you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Afrobeat, the music that you guys play in Antibalas, it's from Nigeria. It's this kind of dynamic stew of influences from Nigerian juju music and Ghanaian highlife and jazz and funk and soul, a little bit of rock. That kind of defines Afrobeat, but give us the sense of it, the vibe of it. I mean, Amayo, you went to the Shrine, Fela Kuti's kind of nightclub where Afrobeat was essentially born and where he held court. You were there at the age of 12. What was that like? Set the scene for us.
Well, you know, it's dark. Children not allowed to go out, but some of us still find a way to get to the shrine. It was probably the most important time for me, you know, because I was like an impressionable kid just about to go into high school. Myself and some of my friends that used to go to the shrine, we knew it was something special, you know, being in Lagos and having someone speaking for us, you know. It was like Fela was the champion of the youth of that time, you know. So it was special.
You got that horse race, you got that dog race, you got that human race, but this is our race.
Afrobeat obviously is not site-specific, so what do you find similar between Brooklyn, where you now live, and Lagos?
I live in a neighborhood called Bushwick, at the very, very border of Best-Eye, you know, so Best-Eye and Bushwick, you know, kind of merged together for me as one area of like a lot of problems, you know, a lot of problems that never went away. It might look a little better, the streets are a little cleaner, you know, compared to Lagos. I feel the same tension. I feel the same, like, you know, joblessness. And I see a lot more kids on the streets. You know, I was attacked a couple of times, not because the kids were upset. You know, it was just the thing that was going on. I got caught up in one of those water spraying from the streets, and all the kids just attacked me. You know, they're doing an attacking someone with dreadlocks. I think, well, yo, I'm someone from the neighborhood. You know, I look like one of you. I'm actually more of like a rebel-looking guy. Didn't matter, you know. So it's like, you know, these days everything is pointing to what the teenagers are feeling. They're the ones feeling the most. It's kind of like past summertime. All the kids in my neighborhood, at least from what I notice, there's just nothing to do with the summertime. There's no work, you know, and I think it's getting worse, you know.
Jordan, Antibalas has kind of been your bread and butter gig for the past 10 years, but you've also become a fixture on the downtown New York music scene, gigging with people as varied as Medeski, Martin and Wood, John Zorn hosting loft parties, TV on the radio. I mean, there's an element of free jazz in what you do, but I'm also wondering, how do you find compatibility between all those other gigs and Afrobeat?
I tend to look for the compatibility between all things in life, not just music. Music is a kind of refined practice in seeking compatibility. So I really don't make any distinctions between Fela's music and Ornette Coleman's music and the music of European classical tradition even. You know, for me, Fela is Africa's greatest composer. You know, his music is no less a brilliant classical form than Beethoven or Mahler.
The one big difference between Fela and Mahler is that there are enormous spaces in Afrobeat to improvise, which clearly the band takes a lot of advantage of.
Sure, but there's a deep tradition of improvisation in Western classical music. You know, Bach and Beethoven and Mozart were all genius improvisers as well. I grew up in New York. I grew up in Midtown Manhattan, not in Lagos, so my job is really more of a musicological one.
And speaking of Midtown Manhattan, notably, you were the band leader for a number of years for the Broadway show Fela. And I'm just wondering, from your point of view, how did Broadway and the theatrics of Broadway change the music of Afrobeat for you?
I think Fela's music actually fit the theatrical form very well. And Bill T. Jones had a lot to do, of course, with deconstructing Fela's music. And you know, what Bill does is to deconstruct and then build something up in his own image, in the way that he wants to tell the story. So you can't really talk about Fela, the musical, without talking about Bill T. Jones's influence on how that all took shape.
Dirty, not dirty money, oh. Dirty money, not the flow. Dirty, not dirty money, oh. Dirty money. money not the flow.
There's a great song on the new album, self-titled album, Antibalas. The song's called Dirty Money. Talk about how that song came into being and what it says about the current world we live in.
Well, Dirty Money is from the mind of Luke O'Malley, the dancing machine, the longtime Antibalas guitarist, and one of our most succinct songwriters in the band, and it's a collaboration between he and Amayo, and of course they brought it to the band, and Amayo was discoursing a little bit about the intention behind it, which certainly has to do with the lies of capitalism, how capitalism does not tell the ecological truth about the system in which it operates, the ecosystem of the earth. Capitalism is essentially an unsustainable system.
So let me come back to this question about, being financially solvent as a band these days, which you raised a few moments ago, Amayo. I mean, slowly shaving down the size of the band. I remember one of the co-founders, Martin Perna, a few years ago at a symposium was saying, we had to start making some decisions. Do we continue playing music or do we raise families? So can Afrobeat sustain an 11, 12-member band, keep you guys solvent?
Absolutely.
Oh, sure, it has, and things have been getting better. I don't think we could continue to do this otherwise. But we're not living under the gun in the same way. But I think what happens in the capitalist society and what happens in America is that you're just marginalized, and it's not even really intentional. It's just collectively, what does the society support? And they support Justin Bieber, and so it's not like we're literally under the gun, but our livelihoods are always at stake. The way we can, the freedom of choice is always compromised in a way because of the decisions we've made to live the Afrobeat lifestyle in America rather than the Justin Bieber lifestyle.
Now, speaking of the Afrobeat lifestyle, I just hope our cameras can get a shot of your shoes, Jordan, because
No, it's not fair because Amayo should have his
I didn't
as
have
well.
mine on, so.
Tonight, we'll make sure to get up close on stage because
When I saw you putting it on, I almost went and put mine on. I was like, hey, blow my spot.
Well, Jordan McLean and Amayo from Antibalas, thanks so much for speaking with us.
thank you for your intelligent line of questioning, and to all of your viewers for taking the time.
Thank you very much for having
Thanks
us.
a lot, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dirty, not dirty money, oh. Dirty money not go hold up. I say, oh, dirty, not dirty money, oh.